The strange signal. The horizon moved silently through the black ocean of space. It was a human ship, small compared to the giants of science fiction dreams, but strong, built with steel and courage. The crew inside was ordinary by Earth standards: engineers, scientists, and a few explorers who had signed up for the long journey. For them, space was not mystery anymore. It was home. Captain Elias sat in the command chair watching the endless stars. He had traveled many times beyond Mars, even reached the outer edges of the solar system. Nothing surprised him now, or at least that is what he believed. Then it happened. A sound, low at first, filled the communication deck. It was not a normal signal. It was not from Earth. The sound pulsed like a heartbeat, then repeated, again and again. At first, the crew thought it was just background noise, a random echo of radiation from deep space. But the signal had order. It had rhythm. It was not nature. It was design. "Captain," said Officer Mara, her eyes fixed on the glowing screen. This is artificial. Someone is sending this." The crew leaned closer. For a moment, no one spoke. The silence of space pressed in on them, heavy and endless. "Where is it coming from?" Elias asked. Mara's fingers danced over the controls. "Far side of Neptune. But wait. The signal is not bouncing from a planet. It's coming from nothing, from empty space." The captain frowned. Empty space did not send signals. Empty space did not speak. The horizon turned its engines, slow but steady, moving toward the coordinates. Hours passed. Outside the window, the stars did not change, but inside the ship tension grew. Every crew member felt it in their bones. Something waited out there. Finally, the scanners caught it. At first, it looked like a tear in the dark, a shape not of rock, not of gas, but something else entirely. It shimmered, like glass broken under water. The signal pulsed stronger now, louder, until the ship itself seemed to vibrate with the sound. "Is that a doorway?" whispered one of the engineers. No one answered, because that was exactly what it looked like. A gate, a structure larger than any human city, floating quietly in the black. It was not natural. Its lines were too sharp, its glow too controlled. Someone had built this, but not humans. No record in any Earth database matched this design. The horizon slowed. The crew stared with wide eyes. Fear should have taken them. Any other species might have turned back, but humans were different. Curiosity burned hotter than fear in their hearts. "Bring us closer," Captain Elias ordered, his voice calm. The engines hummed. The ship drifted toward the gate. The closer they came, the stranger it became. The structure seemed alive, its surface shifting like liquid metal, yet holding shape like stone. Lights danced across it in patterns too complex to understand. The signal grew sharper, now like a voice just out of reach. And then, the gate opened. A circle of pure light bloomed at its center, a tunnel of stars that should not exist. The crew gasped, but no one looked away. They were staring into another world. "What if it's a trap?" whispered Mara. The captain gave a thin smile. "Then let's see who said it." The horizon drifted forward. The circle swallowed them whole. For a second all was white. No sound, no sense of time, only endless brightness. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light vanished. The horizon emerged. Somewhere else. Outside the windows, the crew saw ships. Not human ships. Dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands. They were alien in every sense. Sleek, curved, glowing with colors no human eye had seen before. Some were as small as fighters, others the size of floating cities. They filled the sky like a storm of steel and fire. Every alien ship turned toward the horizon, and in that silent moment, the humans realized they had crossed into a place far beyond Earth's reach, a place where countless civilizations lived, fought, and ruled. A galactic empire, vast and ancient, but the crew of the horizon did not scream. They did not panic. They stood firm, staring out at the endless Armada. because humans were not strangers to danger. They had seen war, famine, storms, and death. They had survived all of it. So now, standing face to face with an empire of alien power, they felt only one thing: curiosity. The captain leaned forward, his voice steady as stone. "Open comms. Let's introduce ourselves." The horizon sent out a simple message into the void, a greeting of peace. The alien fleet paused. Silence hung heavy. And then, one by one, the alien ships shifted position, surrounding the humans like predators around new prey. But still, the humans did not flinch. For them, this was only the beginning. First contact, the horizon floated like a small drop of water in a stormy ocean. Around it, the alien fleet stretched in every direction, thousands of ships all glowing with strange energy. Some looked sharp like blades, others smooth like living creatures. Their weapons shined, ready to fire at a single command. Inside the human ship, the crew sat tense, but steady. Screens glowed with warnings. Scanners flashed with unreadable alien codes. But Captain Elias remained calm, his hands folded on the armrest. "Status?" he asked quietly. "Shields up. Weapons offline." "They're surrounding us, sir," Mara replied. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes stayed sharp. The captain nodded. "Good. Let them see we are not afraid." The alien ships moved closer, boxing the humans in. Each second felt like an eternity. Then, without warning, a beam of light shot from the largest alien ship. It wrapped around the horizon like a spotlight, holding it in place. A voice crackled through the comms. It was not in any human language, yet somehow, through strange translation software, the words came clear. "Unregistered vessel. Identify yourself. You have entered restricted space of the Zorathian Empire." The crew exchanged quick looks. The words were heavy with authority, but also confusion. The aliens clearly did not expect humans. Captain Elias leaned forward. His voice was calm, steady, almost casual. "This is the Horizon, a human vessel from Earth. We come in peace." Silence followed. On the alien flagship, the Council of Commanders stared at their screens. Their faces were a mix of shock and disbelief. Humans, real, living humans, standing boldly inside their territory. It was impossible. "Earth?" one commander hissed. "That world is primitive. They should not even have deep space travel." "Yet here they are," another replied. "And they dare to speak as equals." The council whispered in fear. For centuries, stories had spread through the empire about humans. Violent, reckless, unyielding. A species that fought wars with stone and fire long before others had even learned farming. Many believed those stories were myths. But now, the myths had walked into their empire. Back on the horizon, the crew waited. Then the alien voice returned, sharper this time. "Earth, you are trespassing in Zorathian space. Your kind has no place here. Surrender your vessel." Mara tensed, ready for orders. But Captain Elias only smiled slightly. "No," he said simply. "We do not surrender. We only talk." The alien commanders froze. No one, no species had ever answered them like that. Fear was the normal response. Pleading, desperation. But these humans? They spoke like neighbors across a fence. Another alien ship moved forward, its weapons glowing. A warning shot fired across the horizon's bow. The blast was powerful enough to shatter asteroids. The human ship shook violently, but held together. "Captain, they're testing us," one engineer said. Elias studied the glowing streak across the stars where the shot had passed. His eyes were calm, almost curious. "Interesting technology," he murmured. "Different energy frequency than ours. Strong, but not unstoppable." The crew leaned in closer. He wasn't afraid. He was analyzing, taking notes like a scientist. Mara grinned nervously. "You're making them more nervous, Captain." "Good," Elias said. "Let them wonder." On the alien flagship, panic grew. "They should be terrified," one commander shouted. "Why do they not beg?" "Because they are human," another whispered. "Do you not know their history? When they face fire, they walk into it. When they face storms, they build ships. When they face death, they laugh. The council fell silent. The truth was more frightening than any weapon. Back on the horizon, the comms beeped again. This time a different voice spoke. Softer, slower. Humans of Earth, you should not be here. This empire is not your concern. But you are not afraid. Captain Elias answered with steady eyes. Fear is useful, but curiosity is stronger. We want to understand. We want to know who you are. The alien voice hesitated. It was almost as if the speaker did not know how to reply. No species had ever spoken this way to them. No one had ever dared. Finally, the voice said, Very well. An ambassador will meet you. Do not resist. The spotlight beam faded. One of the alien ships broke formation and drifted closer. It was smaller, sleek, glowing with blue lines across its surface. A docking tunnel extended, linking with the horizon's airlock. The crew prepared themselves. Some checked weapons, others steadied their breathing. Mara whispered, What if they try to kill us? Captain Elias stood tall. Then they'll learn how hard it is to kill a human. The airlock hissed. Slowly, the door opened, and there, for the first time in human history, stood an alien, tall, armored, with eyes glowing like molten gold. Its voice was layered, echoing strangely as it spoke. You are humans, it said. The galaxy did not expect you so soon. The crew stared, breath caught in their throats. This was the moment, first contact. But instead of bowing, instead of trembling, Captain Elias extended his hand with a calm smile. Then the galaxy will have to adjust, he said. The alien paused, staring at the human gesture. In that moment, something shifted. The balance of fear tilted, because for the first time, the mighty empire realized humans were not going to flinch. Far from the docking bay where humans had spoken with their first alien, the news spread like fire. Across the empire, every signal tower repeated the same message. The humans have arrived. In the core world of Zerathia, the capital of the empire, the High Council gathered. Their chamber was a vast dome of crystal and light, filled with the voices of 100 alien leaders. Some were tall and insect-like, others were scaled, feathered, or made of shifting light. They were different in form, but all carried the same heavy fear. At the center of the chamber, a massive screen glowed with images of the horizon, the small human ship floating calmly among the warships. This cannot be real, hissed Counselor Vera, her wings trembling. Earth was marked as a low-tier world, primitive, unworthy of star travel. Yet here they are, walking into our empire as if they belong. They should have been afraid, growled Counselor Drak, his reptilian eyes narrowing. Our fleet fired a warning shot strong enough to destroy moons, and yet they did not even flinch. Murmurs filled the chamber. No one could understand it. No one could explain it. Finally, the Supreme Chancellor of the Empire, a being of shifting silver skin, raised his hand. The chamber fell silent. Tell me, the Chancellor said in a voice like steel, what do we know of these humans? An old scholar stepped forward. His body was frail, but his memory was sharp. He carried data crystals that glowed with ancient records. Long ago, the scholar began, our explorers observed Earth from a distance. What they saw disturbed them. The crystals projected images into the air, humans fighting wars, building weapons, burning cities, and then rising again from the ashes. They fight among themselves endlessly, the scholar said. No empire, no council controls them. They destroy each other. And yet they always return stronger. No matter how many times they bleed, they survive. They learn. They adapt. The council chamber grew colder. Even the strongest warriors shifted uncomfortably. Counselor Vera's wings twitched. That is only chaos. Such a species cannot last long. But the scholar shook his head. And yet, they have lasted. Where other species might break under, their own violence humans endure. They do not fear suffering. They walk through it. Images flashed of human history, soldiers in muddy trenches, astronauts stepping onto the moon, explorers sailing into unknown seas. Each scene showed the same thing: humans facing the impossible with stubborn courage. Counselor Drax slammed his clawed hand against the table. So they are dangerous. Then we must act quickly. Crush them now before they grow stronger. Murmurs of agreement spread, but others shook their heads. No, said Counselor Lireth, a tall being of shimmering light. Do you not see? If we strike them, they will not bow. They will fight. And if they fight, we may awaken something we cannot control. The chamber grew tense. Fear was heavy in the air. The Chancellor leaned forward, his silver skin rippling like water. Perhaps it is already too late. Perhaps they are not an accident. Perhaps humans were always meant to come. The words sent chills through the council. Another counselor whispered, "But how? Their technology is far below ours. They should not even know how to reach the gate." The scholar raised his head. That is the most troubling question. The humans did not build the gate. They only found it. Someone, or something, wanted them to enter. The council fell silent. Suspicion grew like a shadow. Was this encounter truly by chance? Or had the humans been guided here by forces older than the Empire itself? One by one, the counselors spoke their fears. If they join with our enemies, they will shift the balance of power. If they learn our technology, they will outpace us. If they are as fearless as they appear, they may already be the greatest threat we have ever faced. The Chancellor stood. His voice carried across the dome, firm and final. Then we must test them. We will not destroy them yet. We will measure their strength, their resolve, their limits. If they are truly as unyielding as the legends say, then the Empire stands on the edge of a storm. The decision spread across the chamber like a silent verdict. The aliens would not act openly, not yet. But deep within their hearts, every counselor felt the same unease. The galaxy had known war before. It had known rebellion, uprisings, and even the fall of old empires. But this felt different. This felt like the beginning of something larger. Back aboard the Horizon, the humans had no idea their arrival had already shaken the foundations of an empire. The alien ambassador who stood before them carried the weight of that fear, though he tried to hide it. His glowing eyes studied the humans, searching for weakness. But he saw none. The humans stood tall, curious, steady, as if they belonged there, and somewhere in the silent halls of power, the galaxy itself seemed to whisper a warning. Do not underestimate them. They are human. The Horizon drifted in orbit above a strange alien world, its surface glowing with rivers of fire and energy. It was not chosen by accident. The Zorathian Empire had picked this place for a reason. It was a trial ground, a place where weaker species were shown their limits. From the deck of the Horizon, the crew could see the alien warship that now hovered close by. It was enormous, a floating fortress bristling with weapons, each one capable of reducing entire cities to dust. Its shadow fell across the horizon as if to remind the humans how small their ship truly was. Inside, the crew waited, tense but alert. They want to scare us, Mara said, watching the glowing panels on the screen. This isn't a meeting. It's a show. Captain Elias nodded slowly. Yes, they're measuring us. Let's see how far they go. A signal pulsed through the comms. The voice of the alien commander filled the room. Cold, sharp. Humans of Earth? You have entered forbidden space. The Zorathian Empire allows no outsiders, but we are merciful. Prove yourselves worthy of survival, and you may leave unharmed. Fail, and you will be erased. The crew exchanged looks. The message was clear. This was not diplomacy. It was domination. What do you want us to do? Elias asked, calm as ever. The alien ship responded not with words, but with light. From its side, a massive cannon unfolded, glowing with unstable energy. It aimed not at the humans, but at the burning planet below. In one shot, it released a beam so powerful that Entire mountains cracked apart. Oceans of fire erupted. The planet itself trembled as if struck by a god. The message was simple. This is our power. Do not challenge us. The crew stared at the sight. The sheer force was beyond anything humans had ever built. The ship's scanners screamed with data, recording levels of energy that bent the rules of physics. For a moment, the room was silent. Then, Captain Elias leaned back in his chair. His eyes were calm, his voice was almost casual. Interesting, he said. Their weapon focuses on raw destruction. Impressive, but not efficient. I wonder how long it takes to recharge. Mara turned to him, half in shock, half in awe. Captain, you're analyzing their gun while they're trying to terrify us. He smiled faintly. Exactly. On the alien flagship, the commanders watched. Confusion spread across their ranks. The humans were supposed to be trembling. They were supposed to panic, to beg for mercy. Instead, they were studying the weapon like engineers at a workshop. Why do they not fear us? One commander hissed. Do they not understand what they face? Another answered grimly. They understand too well. That is what makes them dangerous. The alien voice returned over comms. This time more forceful. Humans. Show us your strength. Fire your weapon or admit your weakness. The horizon was silent. Its weapons were modest, designed for defense against asteroids, not galactic warships. The crew knew they could not match the Empire's power in a direct fight, but Captain Elias did not hesitate. Arm the railgun, he said. The crew blinked. Captain, the railgun against them? Yes, Elias said. We'll give them an answer. The Horizon's railgun was nothing compared to the Empire's weapons, a simple human invention, firing solid metal at incredible speed. No energy, beams, no exotic matter, just steel and momentum. The weapon hummed, a round loaded. The crew aimed carefully, not at the warship, but at a nearby asteroid floating in the void. Fire. The railgun thundered. The shot flew across space, faster than sound, faster than thought. It struck the asteroid with devastating force. In seconds, the rock shattered into a storm of fragments, spinning wildly in every direction. The display, filled with data. The velocity, the impact force, the precision. It was not elegant. It was not advanced. But it was raw, brutal, and effective. The alien fleet fell silent. The commanders stared at the asteroid field that moments ago had been whole. The human weapon had no energy glow, no alien technology, no mystery. It was simple, direct, and terrifying in its own way. Because it showed one truth. Humans did not need to match alien weapons. They only needed to find a way. Captain Elias spoke again, his voice steady. This is our strength. We do not need to match your fire. We create our own solutions, always. The alien counselors who watched the feed grew restless. Some whispered that the humans were reckless. Others whispered that they were unstoppable. On the flagship, the commander's golden eyes narrowed. For the first time, doubt crept into his voice. You are not afraid of us? Elias looked directly into the camera. We've faced death 1,000 times on our own world. Storms, plagues, wars, disasters. If you think one empire can break us, you don't know humans. The chamber fell into silence. For the Empire, this was supposed to be a test of intimidation, but instead it became a warning. The humans had shown something far more dangerous than weapons. They had shown resolve, and the Zarathian Empire finally began to understand. Fear did not control humans. Curiosity, defiance, survival. Those were their weapons, and no empire had ever defeated that. The docking chamber was silent as the alien ambassador stepped aboard the Horizon. His tall armored frame shimmered with faint energy, his glowing eyes fixed on the humans before him. To his people, this was a moment of dominance, the first step in bending a new species to the will of the Zarathian Empire. But what he found was unsettling. The humans did not bow. They did not cower. They simply stood waiting, relaxed as though greeting an old neighbor. Captain Elias stepped forward, calm and steady, and extended his hand. This is how we greet, Elias said. A handshake, it means trust. The ambassador hesitated. His species did not touch outsiders. To them it was considered bold, even disrespectful. But something about the human's steady eyes pushed him forward. Slowly, almost awkwardly, the alien placed his hand against Elias's, a firm shake, a simple gesture. But to the ambassador it was a storm. He pulled his hand back quickly, almost disturbed. You are strange creatures. Elias smiled faintly. We get that a lot. The crew chuckled softly. The alien's eyes narrowed. He had not expected laughter. No species had ever laughed during first contact. Most trembled. Some cried. A few tried to bargain. But these humans? They found humor in the moment. Do you not understand your situation? The ambassador asked, voice echoing with layered tones. You are surrounded by fleets. One order from me, and your vessel is ash. Mara raised an eyebrow. That would be a pretty boring first meeting. The humans laughed again, quiet, but real. The ambassador's chest tightened with something he did not understand. They were not mocking him. They were not ignoring the threat. They were simply unshaken. You fear nothing? He demanded. Elias shook his head. Of course we fear. Every creature fears. But fear does not control us. We choose how to act. The alien ambassador fell silent. His people always believed fear was the greatest tool of control. But here was a species that wore fear like clothing, setting it aside whenever it became inconvenient. The humans invited him deeper into the ship. The ambassador followed, scanning every wall, every system. Human technology looked primitive compared to the Empire's. Wires, steel plating, engines that hummed instead of glowed. And yet the humans walked proudly through it, as if their ship was more than enough. In the mess hall, they offered him coffee. What is this? The ambassador asked, staring at the steaming mug. Coffee, Mara said. Keeps us awake. Bitter, but good. The alien sniffed the dark liquid. The scent was strange, earthy, almost aggressive. You consume this every day? 3 times a day, one of the engineers laughed. 4 if the captain doesn't stop me. The alien tilted his head. To his kind, drinks were ceremonial, rare, sacred. But here were humans, laughing over bitter liquid as if it were life itself. He took a sip. The taste hit him like fire. His eyes widened. This is poison. The crew laughed so hard the walls echoed. Elias grinned. No, that's just the taste. You'll get used to it. The ambassador set the cup down, unsettled once more. Poison that was not poison. Fear that was not fear. A weakness that was not weakness. Humans lived in contradictions, and somehow it made them stronger. You are reckless, the ambassador said finally. You face power far greater than your own, and yet you laugh. Elias leaned forward. His voice was calm but firm. Laughter is power. It means we are not broken. If you want to understand humans, remember this. We suffer, we bleed, we lose, but we never forget how to laugh. The ambassador's golden eyes studied him. Deep inside, a seed of fear grew. He had faced countless species before. Warriors, rebels, even conquerors. All of them eventually bent or broke under the Empire's will. But humans were different. Later, the ambassador reported back to the council. His voice was low, almost troubled. They are not like the others, he said. Their weapons are crude, but their minds, their hearts, they are not easy to bend, Counselor Vera hissed. They are only flesh and bone. They can be destroyed. The ambassador shook his head. Destroying flesh is easy, but how do you destroy a spirit that laughs in the face of death? The council fell into silence. The question lingered in the chamber like smoke. No one had an answer. Back on the horizon, the humans shared quiet jokes, their tension easing. They did not know how deeply they had shaken the Empire's leaders. To them, it was just another day of survival, and humor was their best weapon. The galaxy would soon learn what the Council was beginning to fear. The human mindset was not built to bow. It was built to endure. The news spread across the Empire, like lightning. Humans have entered Zorathian space. From distant mining colonies to the grand cities of the core worlds, the message echoed. Traders whispered it in shadowed markets. Soldiers repeated it in their barracks, and scholars dusted off ancient texts that spoke of humanity as legend, a species born from chaos, reckless and unyielding. Now they were no longer myth. They were here. In the crystal dome of the High Council, fear was thick as smoke. The chamber filled with alien leaders, their voices sharp and uneasy. "They must be destroyed," growled Councillor Drac, scales rippling as his tail lashed the floor. "If we allow them to grow, they will challenge us. You saw how they faced our fleet without fear." "They laughed," whispered Councillor Vera, her wings twitching nervously. "No species laughs at death. No species should laugh at death." Across the chamber, others muttered their agreement. To them, the answer was simple. Crush the humans now. Erase them before their defiance infected the galaxy. But not all agreed. Councillor Lyrith, a being of shifting light, raised a glowing hand. "If we destroy them, we may only make them stronger. Do you not see? They are unlike any we have faced. They do not tremble. They do not obey fear. If we strike them down, others will rise in their name." The chamber grew tense. Some councillors scoffed, others fell silent. The Chancellor, his silver skin flowing like liquid, spoke with calm authority. "The Empire has ruled for millennia. We have faced rebels, warlords, even ancient rivals, all bent before our power. But this species, they bend to nothing. That is why they are dangerous." He gestured to the glowing screen at the center of the chamber. Images of the humans filled the air. Captain Elias shaking hands with the ambassador, the crew laughing over bitter black coffee, the simple railgun shot that shattered an asteroid. "Look at them," the Chancellor said. "Their technology is crude, their ship is fragile. By all measures, they are weak. And yet, when we showed them our power, they did not kneel. They smiled. They studied. They adapted." The words sank deep into the chamber. Councillor Drac hissed. "So we fear them because they are stubborn? That is not power. That is arrogance." But Lyrith's voice shined like a flame. "Arrogance is not their weapon. Their weapon is spirit. They fall, they bleed, they die, and yet they rise again. You know this truth. Every record of their history shows it. They fight each other more than any other species. But instead of destroying themselves, they grow stronger." The scholar from the archives stepped forward, trembling with the weight of knowledge. There are old records long forgotten, explorers who watched them from afar. They said humans are like fire, small when contained, but unstoppable when unleashed. Do not underestimate them. If we make them our enemy, we may create the storm that ends us. The chamber erupted in shouts. Some demanded destruction, others demanded caution. The council was divided, fear and doubt pulling them apart. Meanwhile, beyond the council walls, whispers spread through the people of the Empire. On the trading moons, merchants murmured, "Humans do not fear fleets. They may resist taxes and rules too." In the military, young soldiers whispered, "If they can laugh at death, maybe they are braver than us." In the prisons, rebels whispered, "If humans defy the council, perhaps we are not alone in our struggle." Fear was spreading, yes, but alongside it grew something more dangerous: admiration. The Chancellor sensed it too. He stood tall, his voice cutting through the arguments. "Enough. We will not destroy them. Not yet. We will study them. We will watch them. If they become a threat, we will strike, but if they can be useful, then perhaps the humans are not an enemy, but a weapon waiting to be wielded." The chamber grew silent. No one dared to challenge him directly. Yet unease rippled through the council. No one truly believed humans could ever be controlled. Far away aboard the horizon, the crew knew nothing of the debates shaking the Empire. They shared quiet meals, adjusted their engines, and laughed at old Earth jokes. To them, it was survival as usual. To the Empire, it was terror, because the Empire finally realized a truth it had long ignored. Weapons could be destroyed. Fleets could be crushed. But an idea, the idea of humanity, bold and unbroken, could spread like wildfire. And once it spread, no empire could stop it. The final decision. The Horizon floated alone in the void, its engines quiet, its hull still glowing from the light of the alien docking tunnel. The human crew had returned to their stations, but tension filled the air like static. They had survived. The first meeting endured the show of power and shaken the ambassador with nothing more than calm words and laughter. But the Empire was not done. Across the stars, the Zorathian fleet gathered. Dozens of ships became hundreds, hundreds became thousands. They filled the sky like a wall of steel and fire. Warships larger than cities aligned their weapons, each cannon aimed at the tiny human vessel. To the Empire, this was the final stage. No more games, no more patience. Now the humans would face the truth. They were outnumbered, outmatched, and surrounded. On the horizon, the alarms blared. Mara's voice cut through the noise. "Captain, they've deployed the full fleet. Every gun is locked on us." The crew turned to Elias. He stood tall, hands resting on the chair, his expression calm. Not a flicker of fear touched his face. "Then it's time we decide," Elias said softly. "And time they decide too." The comms crackled. A deep voice, layered and commanding, filled the room. It was the Supreme Chancellor of the Empire himself. "Humans of Earth," the voice declared, "you have trespassed into our dominion. You have ignored our warnings, resisted our tests, and refused to kneel. You stand now at the edge of existence. You have one choice: submit to the Empire or be destroyed." Silence followed. The weight of the words pressed down on the crew. Submit or die. Mara's hand tightened on her console. The engineers looked pale. For a moment, the ship felt smaller than it ever had. But Elias simply leaned forward, eyes fixed on the screen. He pressed. The comms. His voice was steady, unshaken. "Chancellor of the Zorathian Empire," Elias said, "we will never kneel. If you want war, then fire. If you want peace, then speak. But know this: humanity does not break." The words echoed through the void. On the alien flagship, silence reigned. The counselors who listened from afar whispered in disbelief. The Chancellor's silver skin rippled with unease. No species had ever refused him so plainly. No species had ever stood before his fleet and offered him the choice. The ambassador who had met the humans spoke softly into the chamber. "You see now, they are unlike the others. Threaten them, and they grow stronger. Corner them, and they push back. Destroy them, and you may only make them legend." The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. He saw the truth in the words, but pride and fear burned within him. To destroy the humans would prove strength. To let them go would show weakness. Either path carried risk. Back on the horizon, the crew waited. Mara whispered, "Captain, if they fire..." Elias answered without turning, "Then we die standing, and that matters more than living on our knees." Crew nodded. No one argued, no one begged. They knew he was right. The alien fleet shifted, their weapons glowing brighter. The humans gripped their seats. The silence stretched longer, heavier. A single order could end them. And then, nothing happened. The weapons held steady, but no shot came. The Chancellor did not speak again. The fleet remained in place, waiting, watching. It was not mercy. It was not surrender. It was something stranger. Fear. For the first time in centuries, the Empire hesitated. The horizon sent one last message into the void. Elias's voice carried across the fleet. "We are human. We will not hide. We will not bow. The galaxy will know us, as friends or as enemies. The choice is yours." The transmission ended. The alien ships did not fire. Slowly, like shadows dissolving, They pulled back, not in retreat, but in recognition. The humans had passed a test no other species had. They had faced the Empire's full force and had not flinched. Inside the horizon, the crew exhaled as one. Mara gave a shaky laugh. So, we didn't die. That's something. Elias smiled faintly. It's more than something. It's a beginning. Out in the galaxy, the whispers grew louder. Merchants spoke of fearless humans. Soldiers muttered about a species that laughed at death. Rebels dreamed of allies who would never kneel. The Zarathian Empire had not fired, but in their hesitation, they had unleashed something greater than any weapon. Hope. And deep in the silent stars, the galaxy itself seemed to stir as if waiting, because humanity had arrived and nothing would ever be the same.